how you doing, folks? I'm Dave Harding, host of Coastal Cruising, and we're downtown in the beautiful inner harbor of Victoria, British Columbia, and behind me is the Empress Hotel. So join us on this episode. We're going to go to the floating boat show just over here, which is held every year in the inner harbor in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia. Now, my name's Dave Harding, and I host Coastal Cruising television. I just wondered who you are and where you hail from.
I'm Stuart Archer, and I'm with Northern Marine. Actually designed this particular boat several years ago, and we built this for the owner who's behind you right now.
This is the owner here.
This is the owner, yes.
He probably doesn't want to be seen on camera.
I don't care.
I'll shake you with my left hand because I'm operating the camera with
No
the right.
problem. Nice to meet you.
Well, you're the proud owner. Well, good
Yes,
for
I
you.
am. Thank you.
And where do you plan to go with this vessel?
I've gone, it has 23,000 miles on it already. It's been up and down to Alaska 3 different times, all over the Canadian Gulf Islands and up past Desolation and the Broughtons and, you know.
Okay, so you've been to the Broughtons in this one.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have spent as much as 3 months in one trip on board and come back with fuel still on board.
Nice.
Yeah.
And do you go past the Broughtons? Do you go up?
Oh, I've gone clear, I've taken it clear as far north as Glacier Bay.
Of course you have.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we walk through here, have a
Go
look
right
at,
ahead.
if you don't mind. I got to hear a little bit more about this vessel here. I'll let you go first there because you're the proud owner. And the designer's right behind us, so we got a real team of experts here.
Yeah.
Now maybe go forward to the
Go right
helm
ahead.
and have a look at the electronics.
Go right ahead. So this here is a full-size chart plotter
Right.
running Nobletech new Time Zero Odyssey, and it's fully stabilized with track stabilizers, Simrad instruments plus the Furuno
Right.
bow and stern thrusters.
Now, do you use that Furuno very much?
I run it all the time when I'm running.
Right. Now, a lot of people, they just go with charts these days, but it is a good idea, particularly on a boat this size, to have radar so you can see, even, in low light conditions or whatever, you can see who's around you, where they're parking, all the rest of it.
I mean, having electronic charts, I wouldn't go without them, and I've got my paper charts up there too. But it's so nice to have the radar so you can see. I mean, because I have no problem running at night. The boat's tough enough that I can do that, and I've come out of Blaine and run to Campbell River, and running with the tide. And yeah, with the radar on, you can see, you see if you got a cruise boat coming at you or a tugboat with a tow, or
Yeah. And you can see the distance, and you can react accordingly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a real good safety tip right there.
Yeah,
is to use your radar.
Use it.
And if you don't have one, consider getting one.
Right, I mean, you look around, almost every boat out here, some of them have 2, but the question is, do you run it enough so you know how to, when it shows you something, what it's going to tell you.
Showing you. Yeah. Well, show us the galley there.
Okay, I've got a trash compactor, dishwasher, storage here, sink, storage, stove, lots of, I mean, there's storage space in this boat I've never used. Never even opened it.
Right.
So, and there's just plenty of room.
And this lounge area is very roomy too.
Yeah.
With the bar stools and the couch. But I mean, this is a sturdy boat. I mean, this is a displacement hull, so primarily a trawler design, but this is actually a very, very sturdy boat.
Right. I mean, I've bumped into logs and things like that, and gone, okay. You hate the bump, and when you can get off the boat and look, did it do any damage? Well, no, it scraped the paint up, on the bottom paint, but that's it.
Yeah, fortunately, yeah, that's very good when you can feel that confident out there, and you need to feel confident, especially if you're going those long distances.
You know, I mean, the first time we went around Cape Caution, which is at the north end of Vancouver Island, I'd read all the guidebooks, and they say West Otter needs to be at a 1/2 meter and all of this, and it was. But I fiddled around trying to find a chart book that I wanted, some other stuff, and we got out around Cape Caution and the waves were 9 feet high.
Yeah.
And we were taking green water through the hawsers. Nothing came over the bow, but through the hawsers. And that's the worst weather this boat's seen in all of its life.
And it behaved properly?
Yeah, it behaved properly. I was downstairs hugging a toilet, but the boat behaved just fine.
Waffles are unbelievable. And we're going to see some boats, we're going to see some waffles, we're going to see some wonderful scenics down here in the inner harbor of Victoria. So stay tuned, folks. Oh, and by the way, this is Coastal Cruising. I'm your host, Dave Harding. We'll be right back.
That's the right side.
Go down and take a look at the engine room. It's
The engine room would be great to see.
full height. You can walk in there
Okay.
and not get, not
I'll-
going to bang your head.
I was just over looking at a Grand Banks, their new one, and it had twin diesels just aft of the master bedroom.
Mhm.
Walk in there, but it wasn't full height.
No. Well,
I'll be happy to see this one.
okay. Come on down.
Wow, look at the size. This is awesome.
Thank you. We have full height headroom. I'm 6'1". The designer is 6'4", and it had to be built so that he could walk back to where you're standing without touching the overhead. Single screw, John Deere, twin generators. That one's a 17.5 kW Onan with a hydraulic pump mounted on the back of it, which will drive our take-home drive. In the event that we should lose the engine or the gear, we can still get home on the main prop, so we don't have a wing engine hanging out there catching logs or catching.
Now this is a single screw, single
screw.
engine, diesel.
Right.
Cat, did you say?
John Deere.
John Deere, right. And so, I mean, you got an 8, not cruising,
8.4 cruise.
and the fuel efficiency
Yeah.
must be unbelievable.
Well, I burn about 6.5 gallons an hour at 8.4, so I'm averaging 1.25 miles per gallon,
That's awesome for a ship this size.
and that's at cruise. And if you wanted to go further, if you slowed down just a little bit, if you slowed down from 8.5 to 8, you extend your cruising range by about another 600 miles.
So you can actually take the pan,
off the engine,
the old pan,
get it
off
out.
the engine, and you can lift it off, and you can put it on this counter over here, this workbench.
Yep.
And you can change all your filters.
Oh yeah, filters, oil. I have an oil transfer pump right here, and I have 2 different sets of hoses. So when you want to change the oil, you suck the oil out of the engine, and it goes into the waste oil tank there.
Yeah.
And then I drain those hoses out, put on a clean set of hoses so I don't get a lot of oil going back, dirty oil going back into the engine. Pump out of the clean oil tank, which is mounted just right here, and fill the engine up. And it takes about 15 minutes to change this, and it holds 8 gallons.
Nice.
And so back here in the lazarette, we have a Kubola boiler, which gives us domestic hot water and hot water heat. So the heat in the boat stays amazingly even and I cruise it in the wintertime. I'll go up to Princess Louisa in February when there's ice on the top of the water and be absolutely comfortable. I have a 600 gallon a day water maker. I have a black water processing system that processes all the black water on the boat and is Coast Guard approved to to provide for overboard discharge. So in the whole life of the boat, I've never had to dump a holding tank.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a big plus, and I've got all my batteries back there, autopilots, Helm pump, and all of that, and full hydraulics for the bow and stern thrusters, and for my anchor winch, hydraulic take-home motor mounted down on the shaft.
Beautiful. Well, thanks for showing us around
Thank
the
you
engine
very
room.
much.
It's very
Certainly.
impressive. It's very clean.
Yeah.
Most people don't realize that, when you own a vessel, you have to maintain the vessel and you have to do the maintenance. You have to really know how to do it yourself.
It helps.
You should know how to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And this prolongs the life of your investment.
Yeah, it's so much easier if you can say, okay, I need to change the oil, or I need to change a fuel filter, and it's going to take me 15 minutes, and I know exactly what to do, and I got my spares right there, and I don't have to go to the hardware store. I don't have to, I got my tool chest.
Well, when you're running and you're way up country,
yeah,
you're not going to find a hardware store, right?
No, you don't.
When you're in the wilderness, you got to be able to look after this baby yourself.
Yeah, and she's gone. She has 23,000 miles on her, and literally I've had no problems. Everything on the boat works.
So nice to hear.
And when something doesn't work, then it's time to. If something dies, it's probably going to die again, and then you got a spare, and you go, okay, it's not a problem.
Okay, well, we're going to go back
much.
upstairs, and
Okay.
then these folks are going to go to commercial. So we'll see you later, and don't forget to tune back to Coastal Cruising Television. Okay, so here we are topside, the secondary steering station, or the primary one, depending on what you're doing. Like if you're docking, this is you're going to be here, or you're going to be aft, you were telling me.
On the aft deck, I have a docking station back there. This is, on a day like today, this is where you want to drive from.
This is where you want to drive, folks, right here.
Yeah, and you've got everything you need.
Yeah, and you've got a big light up there.
Yep, for running at night.
Big halogen, you can flash that thing up. And a big horn, too. You need a big horn on a vessel like this.
Well, I figured that, I wanted a horn that people could hear.
Well, hi, folks, and welcome to Coastal Cruising. I'm Dave Harding. And behind us, you can see the fabulous Fairmont Empress Hotel. We're here at the Floating Boat Show in downtown Victoria, British Columbia, held every year. And it's just over here, so we're going to go aboard these fabulous boats. We're going to talk to some of these boat owners and boat brokers, and we're going to look at the interiors. And you're going to see some unbelievable yachts. So stay tuned. I think you'll enjoy it. Okay, we're here with Jeff Rhodes, and Jeff's going to explain to us a little bit about this fantastic boat. We've already been around and had a look at it yesterday, and we came back to discuss with him some of the technical details and the origin of the boat and the boat design.
Well, thanks, Dave. This is our new model, our 65 Coastal Craft. It was designed by Greg Marshall, who operates right here out of Victoria. We worked with Greg for a year prior to starting the build.
But you're from Gibson, so how did that happen?
Well, it's interesting. This particular design, this project came from a Vancouver-based customer who came to us with an idea of, for something special for him. So we researched designs over in Europe and what other builders were doing around the world. and came up with this concept design to build here in BC. And we partnered up with Greg Marshall, as I mentioned, in creating this. So it's really been a great story. We've got a local customer, a local designer, and a local builder.
But it looks like it's a fabulous yacht from Italy. Like, and the interior is very, very contemporary. You can see the design of the cabinetry, and the whole layout here is just so wonderfully modern and impeccable.
Well, thank you. We definitely approached this project in a different manner than we had in previous designs, and we were looking to get some of those features that you've mentioned, those wow factors of the more contemporary design, and certainly the exterior styling is quite different than our traditional coastal crafts. So, yeah, we're happy with the end result, and it's been well received.
Well, you were here last year, and I went aboard one of your boats, and you know, these are aluminum boats, right? This is an aluminum hull.
That's right, it is.
You know, maybe tell the folks out there some of the benefits of owning an aluminum boat versus a fiberglass one.
Well, sure. Aluminum represents a stronger hull material, so with that strength, of course, we get longevity out of our boats, and safety aspects. You know, you've got debris in the water. So as you're traveling through and you're concerned with hitting debris,
hitting deadheads,
things like that, you've got the strength of the aluminum to protect the hull. And
it's lightweight as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's for its strength to weight ratio. It's really hard to beat aluminum. As I said, the strength of the material is really so superior over fiberglass. So.
Well, you know, a lot of boats that you see out there, you'll see wood, you'll see fiberglass. You don't see too many aluminum boats, and it doesn't look like an aluminum boat. Well, you want to tell us a little bit about the pods, the monopods. So we're going to go out onto the aft deck, and you're going to point some of those things out for us. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, let's go. Let's have a look at that. Okay, Jeff, why don't you show us this unique system that you have, the monopod?
Sure, Dave. Yeah, this is the Volvo IPS docking station. So we've got 2 docking stations in the aft cockpit for docking the vessel. As you can see, they're situated, located outboard of the superstructure, so we can actually see down the length of the hull. If you're coming into port, you've got full control of the vessel with this single lever right here. So we're able to choose our locations to take control of the vessel from these docking stations. There are 4 docking stations on the vessel. There's a lower helm, an upper helm, and then these 2 outside cockpit helms.
Explain to us what's going on with these Volvo Penta drives.
Absolutely. So we've got 2 900 horsepower 13-liter engines that are coupled to pods. They're a pod that penetrates through the bottom of the hull. They have a hydraulic transmission, and each of those pods is connected to a drive with forward-facing propellers. There's actually a set. Forward-facing, much like an airplane propeller pulls a plane through the air. The propeller on this boat with Volvo IPS pulls the boat instead of pushes the boat through the water. And they operate in conjunction with each other until you go into docking mode. So when you go into docking mode, you're asking the engines to become disconnected, or the drives to become disconnected from each other, to maneuver to a position that can respond to whatever you request of this lever.
That's unbelievable. They're hydraulically assisted?
The transmissions are hydraulically assisted. The steering is all electric.
The steering's all electric.
Yeah.
And does it work off the GPS as well?
It does have this particular vessel does have the DPS, which is the dynamic position system.
DPS, right.
Which is Volvo's brand of a virtual anchor. So it uses satellite signal to fix the position of the vessel. You can activate the system by pressing a button on any of the joysticks, which will maintain the position and heading that you've selected at that moment you press the button.
So are you going to take us down to the engine room and show us some of the other finer details?
I'd love to.
Great. Show the way here. What's this way? Okay, we're standing on the swim grid of this fantastic yacht here, and just have a look at this. You're going to open up the engine room for us.
Yeah, this is our entryway from the swim platform.
Wow, is that Star Trek or what?
Welcome aboard.
Okay, Jeff, we're down here in the engine room of this yacht of yours. Now, show us, how these stern drives work. They're actually not stern drives, are they?
No, they're not. That's correct. These are IPS, so they use a hydraulic transmission and a pod in comparison to.
But I mean, it looks a bit like a stern drive in its origin. I guess that was the idea. You have the drive that's able to move, instead of a shaft with a rudder, for example.
That's correct, and there are other types of pods being used in commercial applications. A lot of the deep sea freighters and cruise ships are now using pod propulsion as well.
Really? Is it a gas or is it diesel?
Oh, these are diesels.
Oh, these are diesels.
Twin
okay.
turbo, twin supercharged diesels.
Now you could almost eat your lunch off of the interior of this thing. And, you know, I realize this is a new boat, but the whole idea of keeping your engine room this clean and accessible and full height with all these LEDs. I mean, you can come in here and it's just looking like a spaceship in here too.
Well, thank you. We did spend a lot of time in the design of this area. We wanted to make sure that all the service points were in an easily accessible location. So you'll notice the filters are all up high, so you've got good
These
sight.
are your diesel filters.
That's correct. So our Raycor fuel filters are up high, so you can get good sight lines into the bowls. Our sea strainers are up high. The ones that we couldn't get up as high as the engine sea strainers are strategically located, so you get a good view into them. The electrical behind you, for example, all the electronic breakers, everything is up high, nothing is hidden away. So a lot of thought went into the design.
What a pleasure. And the idea being, as a boat owner, you want to have access to all of these features in your engine room so you can do a lot of the maintenance yourself.
The easier it is to access these things, the more likely they're going to be maintained to a higher level.
And you want to do that because if you're going to be boating safely anywhere, you want to know that your engines are performing properly. You want to be able to do a site inspection of them before you actually leave the dock, and you want to be able to monitor them when you're underway.
Absolutely, yeah. And for that reason, we do put a camera that's tied back into the helms.
Well, you even thought about that. So this actually is a camera mounted here specifically so that you can see from the helm what's going on in the engine room.
Yes, if we had smoke or a fluid belt or something like that, we could actually see from the helm position what was going on.
I guess this is the master suite.
Yeah, that's correct. This is the...
And we're on the lower level of the boat, of the vessel itself. And we access this through the engine room.
That's correct. There is an access...
Off the swim grid, through the hatch, through the engine room, into the master suite and the ensuite bath. I mean, this is really unbelievable. How do you do these kinds of designs?
Well, we do a lot of listening. So we listen to our clients and we listen to our naval architect when they come up with suggestions to make it easier for the people to use their boat. Having this convenience door from the owner's suite into the engine room is a real treat for people. They don't have to always go outside, open the door, maybe get exposed.
Or go down a hatch, like go down a staircase and break their legs. And then forward, you have another stateroom.
There are 2 additional staterooms.
2 additional staterooms.
There's a VIP, which is directly ahead in the forepeak, and then on the starboard side, midships, we have a guest stateroom.
So what do we got here? This looks like a real space navigational system.
Well, what you're looking at is a standard iPad sitting in an iRoom mount. So this is the user interface for the vessel control and monitoring system. Unlike traditional vessels that are using generally 1 or 2 large breaker panels situated throughout the boat, we're using a distributed power system called ePlex, which allows us to remotely mount all the breakers and then bring control back to several locations throughout the boat. We happen to choose the iPad in the iRoom system, which gives us flexibility and remote ability.
So this is actually an iPad?
This is a standard iPad.
Standard iPad, and you've got all the navigational system monitoring.
We're controlling and monitoring the vessel systems. We're enabling lights. We're monitoring battery levels, as you can see. We're monitoring tank levels throughout the vessel. We're controlling our HVAC systems, air conditioning and heating systems. We have the ability to remotely switch lighting on and off from this device.
Does it also monitor the heating system?
Yes, it does. Back on the HVAC page, you'll notice the set point of the temperature of the main salon.
And this is underfloor heating. This is radiant heat that you're using.
We have in-floor heat in the vessel as well, and air conditioning, yes.
So you've got all the modern conveniences of home. Of a very nice home, I might add.
Thank you. This system allows the owner to also check on his vessel while he or she is away with remote connectivity, so they can log on to the vessel and have full control of everything that we just saw on the iPad.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Jeff, for showing us around this fabulous yacht.
Well, my pleasure, Dave. Thanks for coming aboard.
And this has been Coastal Cruising, folks. From downtown Victoria, I'm Dave Harding. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
That's the right side.